It's now 3 days since Myanmar was struck by a huge 7.7 magnitude earthquake. International humanitarian agencies are stepping up aid deliveries, but are warning of a worsening humanitarian crisis in the war-torn country.
On March 28, 2025, at 12:50 p.m. local time, the ground beneath central Myanmar convulsed with a ferocity that stunned seismologists across the globe. A magnitude 7.7 earthquake struck near Shwebo, in the Sagaing region, a densely populated area nestled between Myanmar's cultural capital, Mandalay, and the ancient city of Bagan. The earth shook violently for nearly 80 seconds. In that brief window of time, centuries-old temples crumbled, modern infrastructure shattered, and over 1,700 lives were lost. More than 3,400 others were injured. Entire neighborhoods vanished beneath the rubble, and a nation already struggling with political unrest and economic hardship found itself staring down a new crisis. The epicenter lay just 10 kilometers beneath the surface, a shallow depth that only intensified the damage above ground. Seismologists confirmed it was a strike-slip earthquake originating along the Sagaing Fault, a major tectonic boundary that cuts vertically through Myanmar. This fault line is part of a broader geological collision between the Indian Plate and the Eurasian Plate. As these plates grind against one another, immense pressure builds. When it finally releases, it can result in catastrophic earthquakes like this one. What made this quake even more extraordinary was its super shear characteristics. The rupture raced along the fault line faster than the speed of seismic shear waves, a phenomenon that creates even more intense shaking, extending the radius of destruction and often catching people off guard. The Ava Bridge, a key transportation artery connecting Mandalay to western Myanmar, was severely damaged. In Mandalay, entire blocks were flattened. Sagaing, a city known for its hilltop pagodas, reported widespread structural damage. In the historic city of Bagan, several UNESCO heritage pagodas, many dating back to the 11th century, were reduced to rubble. The estimated cost of destruction? Early projections put the damage at over $3 billion, though that figure is expected to rise as assessments continue. Roads, water treatment facilities, power stations, all heavily affected. But the impact wasn't confined to Myanmar alone. Across the border in Thailand, tremors were felt as far south as Bangkok, where a 33-story high-rise under construction in the Chatuchak district collapsed. At least 18 people were killed there, and dozens more injured. The disaster prompted evacuations in high-rise buildings across the capital. In Chiang Mai and Mai Hong Son, residents fled homes and hotels as cracks appeared in walls and roads buckled. Emergency alerts went off across the region, and schools closed as a precaution. In southern China, particularly Yunnan province, several towns near the border reported moderate damage. Ruili, a city just 50 kilometers from the Myanmar border, saw apartment complexes sway for nearly a minute. Even in India, Bangladesh, Laos, and Vietnam, tremors were felt. In Hanoi, thousands of workers were evacuated from office towers. In Kolkata, India, reports of swaying ceiling fans and cracked window panes flooded social media. In Myanmar, the response was swift but overwhelmed. First responders, many of them civilians and monks, rushed to pull survivors from collapsed buildings using bare hands and makeshift tools.
Yeah, I know. I don't know where's the blood. Here.
In Mandalay's hospitals, Doctors worked by flashlight. Supplies ran dangerously low within hours. Complicating efforts was the country's ongoing civil conflict. Some regions, particularly Chin and Kachin, were already struggling due to armed conflict. Now they faced a dual crisis: war and natural disaster. The Myanmar Red Cross, local NGOs, and grassroots organizations were first on the scene. The government declared a national state of emergency. But coordination was difficult. With internet blackouts and crumbling roads, entire villages remained unreachable for days. The international community responded rapidly. Within 48 hours, India, Thailand, China, Russia, Singapore, and Malaysia dispatched search and rescue teams, medical professionals, and tons of food and shelter equipment. The United States pledged $2 million in humanitarian aid. The United Nations launched an emergency appeal for over $75 million to support relief and recovery. Doctors Without Borders set up mobile clinics in hard-hit regions like Sagaing and Magway. But even this collective outpouring wasn't enough to meet the scale of the crisis. Over 100,000 people were displaced across Myanmar. Schools and monasteries were converted into shelters. In these makeshift camps, conditions were dire. Food was scarce, water was contaminated, and diseases like cholera and dengue loomed large. The collapse of communications infrastructure made it difficult to assess needs. In more remote areas, aid took days, sometimes a week, to arrive. In Thailand, the government established emergency response centers in Chiang Mai, offering medical care, trauma counseling, and temporary accommodation to residents and migrants affected by the quake. Experts warn this may not be the end. The 7.7 quake is part of a complex and active fault system. Seismologists are closely monitoring nearby segments for signs of stress transfer, which could trigger additional earthquakes in the coming weeks or months. Aftershocks, some exceeding magnitude 5.5, have continued to rattle the region. These smaller quakes are dangerous in their own right, particularly for structures already weakened by the main shock. And yet, amidst the rubble, hope endures. In Mandalay, Buddhist monks organized food drives. Volunteers from Yangon traveled north to offer aid. In Thailand, communities opened their homes to the displaced. Across Southeast Asia, a spirit of shared humanity prevailed. Reconstruction will take years. Economists estimate Myanmar will need $10 billion in long-term support for housing, health, education, and infrastructure. But resilience runs deep in these lands. From the plains of Bagan to the streets of Chiang Mai, communities are already looking forward. The earth may tremble, but it cannot shake the human spirit. Together, we can help rebuild what was lost and stand with those who need us most. Thanks for watching. If you found this video informative, please give it a like. It really helps more people discover important stories like this. And if you'd like to stay updated on global news, disasters, and the human stories behind the headlines, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next video. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you've been affected or want to support the recovery efforts, check the links in the description. Stay safe, stay informed, and we'll see you in the next one.